Welcome to Evolving Into Her. I'm Ashley Hope, and this is your weekly check-in to get out of your head, into your body, and back into alignment with the version of you who's already living the vision. So grab your favorite cup of tea, settle in, and let's get into the show. Hey girl, welcome back to Evolving Into Her. I'm your host, Ashley Hope, and if you are new here, this podcast is your space to come home to yourself. Okay, come home to your truth, to your vision, and to the version of you know you're meant to be living as. If you've been riding with me, you already know this is not a highlight reel. This is the real life unfolding. This is the sacred in between. This is the healing. This is the habits, the mindset shifts, the identity work, all the good juicy stuff. And it's not always pretty, but it's real. And today's episode is for the woman who is tired of starting over, okay? Who's tired of getting inspired and writing the vision and making the playlist and then slipping right back into old cycles when life starts lifing. And I'm saying this with love because I've definitely been her. And to be honest, I'm still her in some areas, okay? But one thing that has helped me stay grounded in my evolution, especially as someone who's neurospicy, right? And I struggle with executive function. I don't always feel like doing the thing, but this is the truth. Motivation is not that girl, all right? Motivation is inconsistent. She's emotional. She's flaky. And friend, if you wait for her, you're going to be stuck in the same place next year talking about all the things you were thinking about doing. So today we're talking about the real MVP of becoming, and her name is Discipline. Okay. And she is sexy. She is that girl. And I'm not speaking about discipline in the rigid hustle culture kind of way, right? But as a soft and a sacred form of devotion. Doesn't that just feel different hearing that, right? It has a different frequency. It has a different energy. It has, it girl factor. It has je ne sais quoi, right? So in the past, I would host Q&As on my stories all the time, and people would ask me over and over again, Ashley, how do you stay so consistent? How do you keep showing up for your business, in your healing journey, in your wellness journey? And the truth is, I'm not always consistent in the way that people think. I do not have a perfect schedule. You ain't gonna catch me waking up at 5 a.m., right? I'm not following some color-coded planner. They're cute, but they don't work for me, right? I'll buy them and never use them. And it's not even about motivation because, baby, if I had to feel like doing all the things, I'd barely get anything done because I rarely ever feel like doing it. I stay consistent because I'm devoted to living well. I'm devoted to my evolution. I am devoted to my becoming. I am devoted to feeling, looking, being well into my 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, etc. So I'm looking out not only for the current version of Ashley, but for future versions of Ashley who are counting on me to show up, who are counting on me to be consistent, who are counting on my devotion and my discipline. And that devotion shows up in different ways, depending on the day, depending on the season, depending on my energy, depending on my bandwidth. But consistency for me is rooted in the life I want to live. It's really that simple. It's rooted in the woman I want to be, the way I want to feel. And I want to tell you this because nobody really says it, but you get to define what consistency looks like for you. Right? It doesn't have to look like 75 hard and going all in. It doesn't have to look like the morning routines on YouTube. It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be aesthetic. Like consistency for you could be something as simple as drinking water before you have your coffee. Or logging off at a certain hour to protect your peace, not going to bed with your phone in your hand scrolling TikTok, okay? It could be moving your body for 20 minutes a day, even if it's just a walk, even if it's a deep stretch, even if it's a yoga sequence. It could be taking 5 minutes every night to check in with yourself before bed. It could be speaking one kind word to yourself every morning and affirming yourself before you go out into the world, speaking life over your life. And if you're in a season where your nervous system is fried and your mind is heavy, that might be your consistency right now. That might be what consistency looks like for you in this season. Showing up gently, showing up slowly, showing up imperfectly. All of it counts. All the big things and the small things, because this journey of becoming is not all or nothing. It's really about meeting yourself where you are and still choosing to move, even if it's just a little. And that leads me to something else we don't really talk about enough. And it is the lie that you have to feel ready before you start. This belief keeps so many women stuck. And it sounds like, I need to get my energy right first. I just need more clarity. I'll wait until I feel more confident. But becoming her, evolving into her rarely starts with confidence, right? It starts with commitment. It starts with choosing to move even when you're unsure, you're uninspired, you're overwhelmed. And if you're someone who struggles with motivation like I do, especially with ADHD or neurodivergence, you know that waiting for the feeling to align with the action, that doesn't always work for us, right? That day may never come. So you have to move before it makes sense, before it's convenient, before your brain is fully on board, if it ever is, to be honest. And so, friend, write this down if you're a note-taking girly, okay? Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a decision. I'm going to repeat that. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a decision. And real transformation starts with decisions, friend. With choices, intentional choices, not your feelings. And that's why devotion matters more than just vibes. And that's why following through is a love language. And girl, the gag is, even when we want to stay consistent, even when we desire consistency, even when we're clear on what matters, we're still going to slip sometimes. And half the time we don't even realize that we're doing it. So let's talk about the subtle ways we self-abandon, because we don't always notice it, right? Because it's not always a big breakdown. It's not always some major life detour or complete spiral. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it's just the little moments, the moments that feel harmless, but slowly they pull you out of alignment. And it could look like snoozing through the time you said you'd move your body, skipping meals, and then subsequently crashing later because you're depleted and you have no energy, saying, I'll start Monday again and again. Like, before you know it, 4 or 5 Mondays have passed, girl. It could look like breaking your word to yourself because you'll just catch up with that later. You'll make it up later. And I could probably put money on this. You probably keep showing up for everyone else. You probably don't miss a beat when it comes to your job or to your family, to your people. But when it comes to you, girl, you get bumped to the bottom of the list. And over time, those little moments of self-abandonment start to add up. And they chip away at your self-trust. And I'm not saying this to imply that you're lazy or that you're broken, but because somewhere along the way, you learn to put yourself last. So let's break that pattern. Let's normalize keeping your word to you, keeping promises to yourself. Let's normalize doing something just because it matters to your future self, not because someone's watching or you're going to get an applause. Let's normalize following through, just for the sake of honoring your own energy, not because it's trending, not because someone's watching, but because you matter, girl. And when that becomes your baseline, when showing up for yourself becomes your default, that's when the real shift happens. That's when your habits stop feeling forced and they start feeling like second nature. And that brings me to something that truly changed everything for me. And that is identity-based habits. when I first started shifting into this next version of myself, I used to do the thing just to get the result. Not going to lie. Okay. It was like, let me post the content so I can get the clients. Let me work out so I can look a certain way, so I can snatch this waist and so my booty can be sitting high. Okay. I like to look good. All right. Let me journal so I can feel like I'm doing the work, because that's what the wellness people tell you you're supposed to do. Right. But it wasn't sustainable because it was rooted in performance. And so I had to ask myself, what would it look like to do these things? Because they are just who I am now. That I am just this kind of woman. This is who I be. Not who I'm trying to be, but who I already am. I am a woman who moves her body because I honor my health and my wellness. I am a woman who journals consistently because I value reflection. I am a woman who speaks life over her life because I know my words can shape my reality. And that's essentially what identity-based consistency is. And it's a game changer. It changed the trajectory of my life. When your habits are rooted in who you are and who you be, you don't have to constantly hype yourself up or chase motivation. You just do what you got to do because it's part of your identity now. It's part of who you are. So, friend, I want you to really sit with this for a moment, okay? And ask yourself, who is the version of me I'm stepping into? Not the version you're trying to impress anybody with. Not the version that's curated for the social media feeds, but the grounded, expansive, confident, self-assured, secure version of you who feels whole, who feels fulfilled, who feels proud, who moves through life with clarity and ease and alignment. Like, what would she do daily? And not to prove anything to anyone, but because it's just how she moves. It's just how she lives. It's just who she be. For example, maybe future you starts her day with intention and she's not waking up and checking her phone, checking her emails, checking her text messages, checking her notifications on her social media, but she checks in with herself first, with her energy first, with her body first. Maybe one of her daily habits is making herself nourishing meals because she honors her body, right? And not just for weight loss, not just for aesthetic goals, but because she wants to feel energized and clear-headed and feel confident and light and energetic in her body. Maybe she creates before she consumes. And she's writing, she's working, she's building before scrolling through someone else's life online, before comparing someone else's highlight reel to her life. Baby, maybe she finishes what she starts. And this doesn't even have to be a grandiose gesture. This could be something as small as making the bed, sending the email, or keeping a promise to take a walk before work, after work, on your lunch break. And now I want you to write this down, friend, literally. I want you to name 2 or 3 habits that match the energy of the woman you're becoming. And I don't want you to overthink this. These aren't massive leaps, right? These are small, meaningful actions that carry her energy. And once you do that, this is the most important part. I want you to scale them down and shrink them to the version you can still do on your low energy days, when you don't really feel like showing up, when you don't got the motivation, right? So if her habit is a full morning routine, your scaled down version might be just lighting a candle, taking 3 deep breaths before checking your phone, right? It could be as simple as that. If her habit is working out for an hour, your low energy version might be stretching for 5 minutes or walking around the block. If her habit is writing every day, your simplified version might be just jotting down one sentence that anchors you back into your intention. And this is how you can stay consistent without burning out and without feeling like you need to start over again, or that you've effed up and need to begin again. You meet yourself with grace constantly. You're going to need it because this is a lifelong practice. And you match the energy of her, right? Her energy, her frequency, without forcing yourself to show up like a machine and check off the boxes and just do the routine. That's devotion. That's embodiment. That's what makes this work sustainable. Because again, consistency is about devotion, not performance. It's not about doing the most. It's about doing what matters, even if it's just a little every single day. And so I just want to close with this. Discipline is not punishment. It is not depriving yourself or pushing yourself to the brink. It is not a consequence. It's not something to dread. I want you to think of discipline as protection. It protects your peace from old patterns. It protects your vision from the noise of distraction. Hello, somebody. It protects your energy from being scattered all over the place. It protects the version of you you're becoming. Write that down. Discipline protects the version of you you are becoming from the habits, people, environments that will pull her back into survival mode. When you're disciplined with your time, with your boundaries, with your habits, you're not being rigid. You're being resourced. You're saying essentially, I'm not willing to live out of alignment just because something is easier in the moment. And you're creating safety and structure on purpose. You're building a container strong enough to hold your growth, your healing, your expansion, your evolution. So discipline is what keeps the door open between where you are now and the life you've been praying for. Write that down. Again, discipline is what keeps the door open between where you are now and the life you've been praying for, the life you've been asking for, the life that you've been setting intentions for, the life that you've been fasting for. Because without protection, things leak. Your time, your energy, your clarity, your intention. So don't look at discipline like something you have to do. See it as something that's holding you, something that's guiding you, something that's keeping you aligned, something that's saying, girl, I got you. And we're not slipping back. We're not falling off. And even if we slip up, we get right back on track. Discipline says, I don't have to feel like it to follow through. And baby, if you are a girly who has made a habit out of waiting to do things when you feel like it, please check in with me and let me know how that has worked out for you, how that has panned out for you. Because maybe I'm missing something, but that has never worked for me, and I don't see it working ever for me because I rarely feel like it. Okay. Discipline says my word matters, even when no one else hears it. Discipline says I believe in what I'm building enough to show up for it, even when it's slow, even when it's quiet, even when it's hard. And I can speak to that personally. At the top of 2024, I promised God that I would get out of my own way. And that required a high level of consistency and discipline. It required devotion. It required me walking this thing out even when I didn't see the fruits of my labor. It required me to show up every single day. It required me to stretch and expand and to continuously push past my comfort zone. Baby, it was so uncomfortable. There was many days that I was so frustrated. I really want to say F this, right? To be very honest, I really wanted to quit. I really wanted to pivot and do something else and not do what I was called to do because it was too hard. I was tired of being disciplined. I was tired of being consistent. I was tired of showing up, but I stayed with it. And now halfway into 2025, baby, the Holy Spirit is showing me this is why you should be obedient when God calls you to do something. This is why devotion is necessary. This is why consistency and discipline is necessary, because I'm seeing things unfold politically and economically. And if I had not done the work and decided to show up consistently at the top of 2024, like God called me to, I would be a wreck right now. I would be a wreck. And so, yes, you can pray. Yes, you can set intentions. Yes, you can visualize. I do all those things. I love all those things. But after the prayer, baby, you got to move. You got to walk this thing out. After you create the vision board, you got to act on it. You got to walk in the direction of the life you desire and the woman you want to become. After you journal, Baby, you gotta embody, because faith without works is dead, remember? So this is your reminder, your loving reminder, your gentle reminder. You haven't missed anything. The moment is still yours. You're being invited to become her through daily devotion. And the beauty in that is that you decide what daily devotion looks like for you. That's between you and God. That's between you, God, and your higher self. You, God, and her. Okay? You're being invited to become her through sacred structure. Start looking at it that way. Through discipline that's rooted in love and not pressure. Through choices that reflect where you're going and not where you've been. So before we close, let's take a moment to drop back into the body after this message, because all this mindset work, all this devotion, all these decisions, they land deeper when we let them be felt and not just understood. So wherever you are, if it's safe, take a deep breath in and soften your shoulders, unclench your jaw, let your body relax, and just give yourself this minute to just be as we move into a moment for her. And take a deep breath with me, friend. If you feel called to, I invite you to place one hand on your heart, one hand on your womb or your belly, and just let yourself land here. And I just want you to hear my words and allow them to resonate as truth. The woman you're becoming isn't asking for perfection. She never was. She never required it. She's just asking you to show up. She's asking you to honor your word. She's asking you to keep your commitments. She's asking you to keep your promises to yourself and her. And to treat your life like it matters. To treat your future like it matters, because it does. And let me remind you, you don't need more motivation. Remember, motivation is really not that girl, right? You don't need another plan. You just need consistency. You need devotion. And you need to keep showing up for you, showing up for her. And breathe that in and just let it resonate. Let it land. Let it confirm and affirm. Let it resonate as truth. And friend, if this episode hit, please don't keep it to yourself, okay? Send it to your sister, your homegirl. Drop it in the group chat. You just never know who's been waiting for a message like this. You never know who needs it. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please take 1 minute to leave me a quick review. It really helps the show grow. And if you're tuning in on Spotify, and maybe you're a part of the green bubble crew, aka the Android crew, no shade, girl, but y'all can still leave me a rating on Spotify. So just tap those 5 stars, no written review needed. Your rating still makes a huge difference. Thank you for evolving with me. I'm Ashley Hope, and you've been listening to Evolving Into Her. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you for choosing her, for choosing yourself. And until next time, stay in devotion to your becoming.